Good morning, good evening, good night, hello, and welcome back to my channel if you're new here. My name is Celeste. I am just going to tell you about my health fitness journey from start to now. This is going to be a two-part. The story is just too long, so I've decided that I'm going to do two separate videos so that I can actually really tell you my health and fitness journey. So I think it's best if we start from when I was younger through to now. So this will be me here as a infant, just small. I was normal, and as I was getting older and things like that, I had a normal relationship with food up until the age of almost 16, so 15 and a half. I kind of ate what I want and I was fine. I was what you'd probably call skinny fat. So I wasn't super toned or lean or anything like that, but I was just normal. I was very active growing up my whole life. I was in dance, and I've done dance and gymnastics and those kinds of sports. And then as I got older, 11, 12, around that period, I was playing like rugby and soccer and lawn bowls. Like I kind of played a little bit of everything. And then high school. So in high school, I literally played so many sports. That was just, I loved to be active and things like that. Just ate normal, and like mum made dinners and I had good breakfasts and lunches and things like that. But like if I wanted noodles, I'd have noodles. So that was in high school. And yeah, I was just really active. I used to walk to school, which I just googled, and it's 6.4 kilometers. So I used to walk from my place to my high school and back home again. I would bike to school when I was in primary and intermediate. Like I was just very active all the time, so I never really held on to weight that much. And then when I met my ex, we did the normal things. We would eat out, we'd get takeaways, and then that's kind of how I started to gain the weight at first. That was in July of 2013 we met, and I was also at that time working at Pack and Save. I did start to gain a little bit of weight because on breaks and things I would get chocolate or food and snacks and things like that. So I did start to gain weight. It wasn't because of him. At the end of the day, like I control what I put in my mouth, and I didn't control it at all. So that's kind of the way that I first started to kind of gain the weight to start with. And then obviously when we did get a relationship, I started eating more and I started to gain the weight. To yo-yo diet about a year and a half into that relationship. One point I had seen Freely the Banana Girl, and she did high carb, low fat. I think that's what she does. Oh, I don't know, but I was eating a lot of pasta, and she said that if I ate a lot of pasta then I would lose weight. Now I'm looking at it thinking I was so uneducated, but that's fine. And I ended up gaining weight because I was eating so much pasta. Anyway, you live and you learn is pretty much what that is. And I did start trying to like exercise and go up Kaiti Hill and things like that with my mum and my friends, and so I was trying to do that as well. And then I had a photo which I'll insert here that was from January 10th of 2015, and it was like the 5th day that I had been going to the gym or something like that. So I did start going to the gym, and I don't think that lasted very long. I think that was the first time I ever had my first, like they give you a free personal training session when you go in, and that was the first and only time I've spewed throughout a session. Apparently once you do it once, you'll never do it again, but I'm not sure. I haven't done it again since then, so maybe it's true, maybe it's not. So I became very unhappy with my living situation. At that point in time I was living with my ex and their family. Don't get me wrong, their family is great, but unfortunately it was just not a good place for me to be mentally, and it wasn't a good environment to be living in, and I wasn't happy. And again, I turned to food for that. So I wasn't happy probably March of 2015, but I probably drew that period out longer than I should have, and that's on me, no one else. And we ended up breaking up in mid-September of 2015. I had weighed myself probably the month before that in August, and try and lose some weight before my birthday, my 18th at that point would have been. In September of 2015 I turned 18. just before that, when I weighed myself, I was 96.6. Now I do not have a photo of this. And then when I went to the doctors in October, I was 86.2 kgs, which means I dropped 10 kgs from August 1st to October. And that is because when me and my ex broke up, I did not eat 2 weeks. Like, it was a struggle for even to eat like a fish and chip, like that was this big. And I drank a lot of cider. Now, cider's full of sugar, so that didn't help, but it was because I wasn't eating anything that made me lose so much weight in such a short period of time without trying. Highly don't recommend it. That's what I used to cope at the time. It lasted 2 weeks. I was over it. Plus, I had no job at the time, so I had no money to keep buying me alcohol. So I just kind of dealt with my shit and moved on, and it was great. So by the end of that 2 week period, I was completely over my ex, which is hard for people to understand. But like I said, it was in March of 2015 that year that I was kind of over it at that point, and I had left emotionally, probably, to be honest, just not physically yet in that relationship. When we left, it took me 2 weeks. I had my drink binge, and then I was over it. So by the 3rd week was actually when I met my amazing partner now. So that was great. So that was in October, mid-October of 2015 when we met. Now, I went on like probably a drinking binge for like from September through to January, February time. So like 4 or 5 months I went on, because I just turned 18, I'm single, I can have fun, like, so I kind of just went out and did what I want and ate what I want as well. And then in January now of 2016 is where we are, and I actually got my first ever apartment. I was in there for 5 months. Before I started my health and fitness journey. At that point, because I was working part-time when I first moved out, I had to make sure I have enough for bills. I had no Wi-Fi and no TV because, fun story, little side fact in there, is I didn't realise that I could just get a $12 aerial from the warehouse, and so I ended up with no TV for 5 months, listening to the same 3 DVDs on repeat. So that was fun, and no Wi-Fi for 8 months. Good for me. So, anyway, I moved in there, and from January to May, I wasn't trying specifically to lose weight. I was definitely trying to ease myself into it because I was working part-time, so I couldn't purchase as much food. So I did buy things like pasta and bulk cook it, and then separate it into little containers to last me. Lots of vegetables from the veggie truck, and just like cheap but healthy-ish kind of thing. So I was trying to be a little bit healthier throughout that period, and I would walk to work, which was probably like 6 or 7 blocks. It wasn't far at all. It took me like 15 minutes to walk there, so it was fine. So I started to ease myself in that way. And then in May, my friend who ended up moving in with me, in May, she asked me if I wanted to go to the gym. I said no. My ex went to that gym and I really didn't want to go because I was scared that I might bump into him and just be awkward, and I just didn't want that, to be honest. She pestered me for like 30 minutes to go with her, and I ended up going, and it was the best decision ever. So that was when my true fitness journey really started, and I got committed and determined and just happy. Like, it was a good place for me to release any stress, any anger, happiness. It was like my space for me. Like, it was a great time. So the first day that I went, it was like middle of the week. I think it was like a Wednesday or a Thursday at the end of May, like the 27th or 28th of May. Because I didn't know what else to do. I was extremely unfit. I couldn't any purposely. I went to the gym, I signed up with her, I would just walk on the treadmill because I didn't know what else to do. I was extremely unfit. I couldn't even jog for 10 seconds without getting out of breath and having to stop. So my journey started from like really from dot, like that was what I was doing. And so when I had done that, I will go through my weight now. At that point, when I had first weighed in, I did not take a photo of it. So in May, on May 27th or 28th, when I started my fitness journey, I weighed myself on my own, and I did not take a picture of it, so I do not have that on record, but I remember it being like 83.6. So 2016.6 in August of 2015 to write it, or else it's going to get confusing for you guys, is April, May. In 9 months, I went from August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. In 9 months, I went from 96.6, and with kind of without really trying anything in particular. I was drinking, I wasn't eating the best, but I was still kind of being a bit more active than I had been. In 9 months, I went from 96, so I'll do the math here. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, probably mid-June, I did another weigh-in because I wanted to see if I had any progress, and I do have a picture of this and I'll put this here, and it was 81.7 in June of 2016. So that was the first kind of weigh-in that I have, and a lot of the times I will use that as my base, as that's the only one that I have proof of. 5, and that's what I have only recorded. It was the start of that journey, but from my highest weight to my lowest weight was 96.6, and I believe my lowest weight was 64.5. Held that weight loss out, and I had maintained that for like over a year. So I did sit at that for a really long time. Like I said, this is the end of part 1, and that was just the backstory. So I was a healthy, active kid. I was pretty much what you call skinny fat. I didn't try and purpose exercise. I played a lot of sport. I had fun. I ate what I want. And then I went through a relationship, I got comfortable, and then I got unhappy, and on both of those turned to, when I was, before I met him, the food, I was probably sitting at 60 to 63 kilos. And so I gained a lot of weight during that relationship. Period of my life when I was, through that period of my life when I was going through so many changes and transitions and things like that, mentally I wasn't in the right place to even attempt to start a health and fitness journey. Every time I did, I would always fall off within the first couple of days. A lot of yo-yo dieting. I wasn't educated enough on what I was doing, and I wasn't doing it for the right reasons. And for me, I think that's extremely important, to make sure that we are doing it for the right reasons, for no one else, for ourselves, for our health. You know, when I decided and I really went full force into my health and fitness journey, it was very much because I knew that I was going to become pre-diabetic if I wasn't already. I wanted to have children one day, and I knew that that would be a real struggle to have children at the weight that I was and with the way that I was going. And I was still happy. Like, I've always been a super positive person, but I definitely think inside I was not happy with the way that I looked, with the way that I felt, and I wanted to feel good within who I was. But at the same time, I didn't hate myself. I didn't think I was ugly. I still thought I was like super sassy. To be honest, I didn't really see the weight gain too much, but I did see the stretch marks and the cellulite and how things didn't fit, and then I was just wearing baggy clothes, and just I wasn't wearing things that made me feel good. And it's just so important to make sure that we are feeling great all around. And I was just trying to find myself, you know, like my identity had been my relationship, and then that was now gone, and I needed to re-find who I was, and I did do that through health and fitness. It was amazing. It was incredible, the change that I had made mentally, as that I thought I was just going to lose weight and look better, and probably feel better, but at the same time, you know, I didn't realize how much mentally it would change my mindset, and how positive I would be, and like happy and excited to get up and work out and everything like that. Yeah, so that's kind of the story up till now, but like I said, this is the end of part 1, and part 2 will be coming out very, very soon. So stay tuned if you want to see what my fitness story was during that whole period, from 6 months to 1 to 2 years, and then 3 to now. So thank you so much. I love you so much, and I'll see you in part 2. Thanks guys. Bye.